Good morning, Austin Achieve Middle School parents who opted into in-person learning. This is going to be your orientation session for these next few weeks since you did opt in to have your child attend school with us on campus. I am Mr. Camarillo, the Assistant Principal of Culture, and I want to introduce you to the other administrators in case you don't know them already. We have Mr. Hartle, the middle school principal, Miss Julianne Mason, the Assistant Principal of Operations, and Miss Holiday, the Assistant Principal of Instruction. We will be on campus with your children every single day during these times, so we are here to support you. Along with that, here are the teachers that are going to be on campus teaching your students. For 6th grade, we have Mr. Zeely and Miss Moody. For 7th grade, we have Mr. Tenbrook and Mr. Golub. And for 8th grade, we have Miss Moore and Miss Farga. Now, you may notice that we do not have 5th grade teachers. This is because they're not going to be returning to campus in October. However, since there was a demand for 5th grade scholars to come in campus, we are going to be offering a study hall style classroom this month and then transition them over to a normal classroom in October. What does this mean for the 5th graders? This means that the 5th graders that are coming to campus are still going to have the same virtual advisor, and they're still going to be having the same classes with that advisor, but they are going to be offered some few differences while they're on in school, including access to PE and recess class times, as well as the breakfast times, lunch times, and supper times, and meals that they're going to be provided, like all the other scholars in the school. Here is the bell schedule for the 3 different schools here in our district. Now you'll notice that the school day for the MS, the middle school, begins at 7 a.m. That's when the doors open, and classes start at 7:15. Monday to Thursday, we end the day at 2:20 p.m. And on Fridays, a little bit earlier, we ended on 1:15 p.m. So right in the middle of what we do, right there in the middle. Due to the limited number of teachers on campus during these first few weeks, some scholars are going to be changing advisory teachers. So if your son or daughter is going to be having a new advisor, just expect to hear from them no later than next week. You might be wondering what the average day is going to look like while in-person learning. Well, these are all the things that they're going to be doing Monday through Friday. They are going to be having still 2 content classes a day, and those are going to run for 90 minutes. They are going to have a breakfast and lunchtime. They're still going to have their morning advisory and end of day advisory, and they're still going to have their Imagine Math and their independent reading time. One thing we did add is now we added the PE and recess time. That's going to be happening outdoors. And along with that, we're going to be adding a lot of more in-person activities since they have the ability to do so now. On Fridays, the schedule is different, very similar to what they're doing over distance learning. Instead of having the content classes, they are going to be having the writing class, and they're going to be having their elective during that time. In an effort to ensure that both the scholars and the teachers are as safe as possible, we are following the CDC guidelines and putting them into our systems. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about all this here, but to summarize, we are going to be requiring temperature checks for everyone entering the school. All the classes are going to be in pods to limit movement, and they are also going to have smaller class sizes and very tactfully distanced desks in classes. So everything is going to be the right distance from each other. Along with that, we are going to be providing all meals, breakfast, lunch, and supper within the classroom to limit movement between people. And we are going to be doing regular deep cleaning of the restrooms and classrooms. There's going to be hand sanitizer everywhere within the campus. And we are even going to stagger arrival and dismissal times so that we do not have a huge crowd just leaving or entering the building. Masks are going to be required of scholars to wear at all times while they're indoors. This includes the arrival time, the dismissal time, and any transitions that happen within the school building. Now, these are going to be allowed to be removed for whenever they have their breakfast or their lunch because the spacing is 6 feet away, and they can also be removed during PE time, and CDC guidelines state that they can be 3 feet apart of distance while they're outdoors. With regards to visitors on campus, we are holding the same expectations. They do also have to pass this symptom screening protocol prior to entering the building, and we are requiring to schedule some time for those visitors, and we are limiting it to only essential visitors. What qualifies as an essential visitor? Well, they have to be an emergency personnel, a therapist who has no other option, a CPS worker, or partners/vendors who are not able to do their work or their services before or after school hours. Because of this climate, we are discouraging late arrivals or early pickups during this time, and anyone coming in for these early pickups has to be doing so for emergency situations only. Additionally, please keep in mind that our bus staging begins 1 hour before the end of the dismissal. So if it is an emergency situation, please make sure that it is not within 1 hour of dismissal time, because it really complicates our system at the end of the day. As mentioned before, we are doing symptom screening. What this is going to look like is a text message with a survey. So the Friday before the week, you're going to be receiving this, and you're required to complete the screening for each of your children if you have more than one at our school. These questions are going to serve as a COVID self-screening that are going to be used to prevent symptomatic scholars, staff, and visitors from entering the school building. Now, with regards to arrival, I'd like to start by saying that Austin Achieve finally has its own busing system, which is fantastic because it allows us to control the situation even more. With regards to the bus system, temperature checks are going to be taken by the bus driver, before they even board the bus. If the temperature of your child is less than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, they will be able to enter the bus and everything is fine. If the temperature is equal to or higher than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, though, scholars and their siblings are not going to be allowed to enter the bus, and we're going to have the scholar or the parent call the front office for next steps regarding this. Along with this, within the buses, we are going to be keeping social distance as well. Now, with car riders and walkers, it's going to be somewhat similar. If you do choose to drop off your child, please make sure that you remain inside your vehicles. We are going to be conducting the exact same test from car to car. So we'll be checking the temperature. Once again, if it is less than 100 degrees, scholars are going to be allowed to exit the car and come into the building. However, if it is higher than 100 degrees, they will not be allowed in the building, and we will record your name and your grade so we can report that to the front office ourselves. To maximize safety, we are also dividing the crowd essentially. So the any bus rider is going to be entering through the back of the school, while the car riders and walkers are going to be entering through the front. And this image right here shows you this. We just talked a lot about arrival. Now for dismissal, we just want you to know that we are also going to be maintaining safety protocol during that time. Scholars are going to be released from classes in a staggered manner, so a few classes at a time. And during this time, they are going to be required to wear masks as they exit the building and go to the buses and the cars. Finally, they are also going to be required to maintain a 3 to 6 feet social distancing while exiting the building, depending on whether they're inside the building or outside, determines the amount of feet away from each other. Please bear in mind that if scholars fail to meet the safety guideline expectations, they may be asked to return to distance learning for the duration of the grading period to ensure that maximum safety for all scholars and staff is maintained. On to child nutrition. So if you're new to the school, you might not be aware that 100% of our scholars do receive free breakfast, lunch, and supper in the classroom every single day. And this year we have a new food vendor that is called Preferred Meals. So feel free to Google them and search them up so you can get a good idea of what we're going to be serving in school. We do encourage scholars to eat the free nutritious food that's provided here at school. However, if you find it necessary to bring meals from home, please ensure that these home meals can be eaten cold, because we will not have microwaves available within the classrooms for scholars to use. With regards to uniforms, at least for this next section here, scholars are not going to be required to wear uniforms to school. So yes, the free dress. What does this mean though? Please make sure that the school clothing they bring is appropriate. So please make sure it does not include explicit content, including but not limited to a professional language, drugs and weapon reference. That being said, there is one thing: we do not allow open-toe shoes. So please make sure that closed-toe shoes are put on at all times. Additionally, like mentioned before, we are requiring that scholars wear a mask. The last thing I wanted to touch on was on the school supply list. And here it is. For the in-person learning, we ask that every scholar brings 1 pack of loose leaf paper, 1-inch 3-ring binder, number 2 pencils, and a sharpener, some colored pencils, and some headphones. The last thing on the list is bolded is the Chromebook and the chargers. You should all already have those Chromebooks and chargers since you have been doing distance learning. Please make sure that they bring the Chromebook and the chargers on the first day of school, because once they're brought in, they are going to be kept within the classroom. And that way we can ensure that damage is reduced. We can ensure that scholars don't forget the Chromebook at home, and they can use that to complete their classwork while they're in the building. And that is it for the mini orientation that we have for you all. If you have any other questions, please feel free to call us through the front office, and we'll be more than happy to assist you with whatever questions or answer whatever questions you may have regarding this time period. After all, we are one school, one family. Have a great day.